Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's going on, guys? aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 40 today for the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the USA Grand Prix, then I implore you to go check it out, because that was a very, very important episode, because we wrapped up the Constructors' title in that race in some style, spoiler alert, by winning the home race. So it was a really, really great showing, and in today's episode, we're looking to wrap up the championship, the Drivers' World Championship. We only need to outscore Magnussen, I think, by 5 points or 4 points or something like that. I think the gap is 71 or 72, and we need to just get up to 75 points for then it to be a dead championship and for us to win and get the title here at this race, just like Lewis Hamilton did for his 4th world title against Sebastian Vettel in 2017. We can do it here at Mexico in that, very infamous stadium in the last sector. We can do the donuts there if we can do this. But also at the same time, I don't just want to win it by getting points over Magnussen. I want to go out there, take the momentum from last episode, and I want to see if we can actually win the Mexican Grand Prix, to actually win the championship in like the greatest way you could, by winning the very race you get it at, basically. It's going to be tough, obviously. We've made an upgrade, though, compared to Red Bull on the performance chart. You can see the midfield's got very, very crazy. Force India now are back ahead, creeping up on Ferrari now. McLaren's still ahead of Renault, and Renault have actually got away a little bit there from Mercedes, and the entire clump of Force India, McLaren and Renault have now kind of separated themselves from Mercedes there as a pack there, and Sauber, going to Season 3, could try and catch up to Mercedes eventually with upgrades there, so very, very intriguing how that'll go. But let's see how it's going to go on a Saturday then, to set ourselves up for that race. Obviously, we need to hopefully at least get into the top 10 minimum, and then see if we can get into the front row of the grid or the second row of the grid, to try and give us the best shot we can of getting that win. Let's go into the Saturday and see how we do over one lap.
Not long now until the lights go green for the Mexico Grand Prix qualifying. So let's get ready and see who has that pole position winning performance in them this afternoon. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily. It's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
So at the start of qualifying into Q1, surprisingly, actually, unlike the last couple of episodes, it's not going to take me 2 laps then to set a lap time to get us into Q2. We're going to have the pace straight away. Feeling good around here in Mexico. I've never loved the circuit, actually, since it came into the F1 game on the F1 calendar. But this year, for some reason now, Season 1 wasn't too bad. And especially now with the higher downforce of these Season 2 cars, I'm really loving it. Especially Sector 2 is really fun to drive around. So we go across the line then. We were in P15 and we're right on the edge, and so I was having to fast forward through the session to kind of wait patiently to see us go through, but we do make it through. It doesn't matter where we come in Q1 as long as we make it through. So P15 there, literally the last position getting into Q2. That's fine by me. Alonso looking strong once again, as well as the Ferrari and Red Bull cars, and so I think just like Japan, we may have a very good race on our hands. Actually, ironically, as we're getting towards the end of this championship, as it's wrapping up, the team orders are all getting very, very close, and things are getting even closer than they were midway through the season in the European portion. So a little bit odd there, but I love the challenge, and I'm going to love the race if it's just as exciting as it was around Suzuka. So we go through now into our Q2 laps. The first run here at the moment, it's an okay run, but at the like you can clearly see in Q1, although I did get through into Q2, you can see I had a lot of time to find still against everyone else on Hypersoft tyres, and so we go across the line. It's not a particularly amazing lap time there. As we fast forward through there, we are already not in the top 10 as I fast forward through. We're down to P12 there. Magnussen, actually, surprisingly, is also there in P13, so both of us have to improve our time by quite a bit. Both of us are behind Charles Leclerc there at the moment, P14 and P15. We're both of us right at the bottom of Q2, so I don't know what on earth's happened. I don't know if we've turned up to Mexico and the entire car has something wrong with it, like the chassis is broken or the air efficiency is just not there, but for some reason we both just don't have the pace at the moment. But through the second lap then on Hypersoft tyres, through the last corner, we will find, I think, hopefully enough time. We'll have to see as we come through. It's all green on the top right across the line, and that will be up into P3, and so we're going to have to see and wait because there's still some time left in the session. So here we go now, fast forwarding through. At the moment, Alonso tops the session, Ricciardo there in P2, Magnussen surprisingly nowhere to be seen by the time we end the session, and so we end up in P3, but Magnussen is a shock P15, so the man I need to outscore, I don't need to outscore anyone else, it's just my teammate. The man I need to outscore is out in Q2, and in some fashion in P15 on the grid. I do not know what's gone on with him. I don't know if he had a major issue there with, you know, traffic or whatnot, but he's had an absolute mare, and so he won't take any further part in qualifying, and so it's only us as the sole Haas car then into the top 10. So our first final lap in Q3 then started off okay through turns 1 and 2, but then bad on the exit, and we lose a bit of time there, and then through the last corner a little bit wide, and just generally through sector 2 as well, wasn't as tight to the lines as I could have been, and across the line it's P3 at the moment there on the road, but by the time we come through it's only down in P8 here, so we have a lot of time to find, because at the moment we're in the kind of bottom half there, nearly on the last row in the top 10 shootout, and we don't find too much time through the first few corners there actually into at the end of sector 1 though. We still go purple in sector 1, and despite lock up and going wide, we actually find some time there going deep and actually just finding more momentum into that corner, and through sector 2 we find some more time there, a little bit of a correction and shimmy opposite lock for a split second there on the exit, but again purple in the second sector, so we're purple in the first, purple in the second, so this should be on for a really good pole time maybe as we go through the hairpin now. Lock up though, lose the back end a tad, and maybe a bit too patient on the throttle then on the next 2 corners, a little bit wayward through the last corner, and that's going to be enough to seal the deal. Across the line it's only a miserable P8 despite apparently being purple. Obviously other people were behind me setting lap time, so they could have gone even faster and gone purple themselves, but very shocked and surprised to be down there in P8 in qualifying, scratching my head at why the cars lost so much pace despite us making an upgrade for this race in the engine department, so very, very odd. So we'll have to see how it goes, but at the moment it's Verstappen on pole position, Hamilton in P2 with Alonso P3, but like I said, really the fight is with Kevin Magnussen only for the championship, but on the other hand as well, I do want to try and see if we can get P1, so it's going to be a big fight back here in Mexico for both us cars, and hopefully it's going to be a good one, because you can see it's actually quite competitive here in the top 10. So let's go into the intro then, and let's go to the grid for the Mexican Grand Prix.
Formula One may have been absent from Mexico for 23 years, but after 2015's triumphant return, it was as if we'd never been away. In Mexico, a Grand Prix is more than just a race. It's a celebration of speed and of bravery. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere of the stadium today. They'll be drowning out the cars with their noise as they make their way through on lap 1. At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And starting alongside is Fernando Alonso. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Vettel, Nico Hülkenberg, the engineer, Perez, Van Dorn, Hamilton. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Kimi Raikkonen, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, and Stroll, Sirotkin, Hartley, Esteban Ocon, and Carlos Sainz. Ericsson and Kevin Magnussen rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So the grid penalties have made things rather interesting, or maybe not interesting, in which way you want to look at it. I'm up into P6 now on the grid, and my teammate Magnussen, my only one main rival in the championship, is last place now, P20. So he's going to have a long afternoon if he wants to come back in this Grand Prix, and so we're looking even better to do this. I mean, I wasn't really worried anyway. I feel like we only need to outscore him by a couple of points anyway, so even if he was here in the top 10, I wouldn't be too worried, but it is going to mean it's going to be a big fight back for him. But as every every single race goes, you guys know me, I will try and do my utmost best to get the best result we can. And, you know, especially in the last few episodes, I've been feeling much better with the car, especially Suzuka. The car was feeling on rails at some points in that Grand Prix. So looking forward to this one. The strategy looks to be a 2-stop hyper soft tyres to the 2 sets of ultra soft tyres. Of course, last season, that was our strategy, and we didn't even get to kind of deploy that completely because I then went to hypers at the end of the race because there was some rain to come. So let's see how this will actually go with ultimate tyre wear now on our car. The upgrade, in theory, we should be able to make this strategy work very, very easily. So let's get into this then as we go towards now 5 red lights to the Mexican Grand Prix, the race where we could be crowned the world champion. We wrapped up the Constructors title last episode. Can we do the same for the Drivers title today? As lights are out and we're underway here today for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's an absolute stonking start there compared to Sebastian Vettel, but now getting bogged down a little bit. No car in front of me to get a slipstream off. The Renault of Holcomo's got a slipstream off Bottas. Bottas pulls to the inside there of Bottas and Verstappen. They're 3, 4 wide there as Vettel's gone down the inside of all of them to make a triple overtake maybe. Into turn 2 he goes and he's into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Alonso side by side with him. Verstappen on the side of me, and Bottas is down the order as he tried to make a very audacious middle overtake work. We're hounding Verstappen now on the left hand side. Round the outside we go to the inside for the next right hander, and we will slot into P3. But what a move there for Sebastian Vettel into turn 1, grabs P1 from what was a very, very poor, you know, getaway there, but under the braking zone, he just did the job there. 4 wide, had the balls to send it down the inside of Alonso there, and then jostle him on the exit, and he gets in. Speaking about trying to now hound Fernando Alonso on lap 2 there, you can see tried to get him in and just went way too hot into turn 1, so we have to wait a little bit and compose ourselves and maybe make a, you know, a bit more of a patient overtake with DRS now as we move on to lap 3. DRS enabled this lap, but we won't need it quite yet because we've got overtake mode on the ERS. Rich mix going, and here we go now. It's going to be a very easy pass then on Alonso, going slower and slower there. Maybe not deploying ERS, but of course also we know maybe the McLaren might have a good engine, but it might be a little bit draggy. Obviously, is the case in real life, so we get past very easily up into P2, and now we'll try and see if we can chase after Sebastian Vettel for the win, because like I said, if I can win the championship by winning the race I do it at, I would be so much happier. That's, you know, really, that's winning a championship in style, I think you'll agree. So we'll see what we can do there with Vettel. But meanwhile, Verstappen now past Alonso. The sun is out now in Mexico. It was very overcast, but the sun's come out, so maybe no rain is going to threaten this Grand Prix this time around in Season 2. So now we've got a good battle between Hulkenberg, I think that is, and Valtteri Bottas, and also the Force India not too far behind the home man, Sergio Perez, and then also Van Dorn is trying to go toe-to-toe with the other Ferrari, Raikkonen, and also Daniel Ricciardo. Is now Van Dorn. We cut to that fight then. Van Dorn and Ricciardo still at it side by side as Hulkenberg has squeezed out Bottas, and so Hulkenberg does lead the Finn, but these two are still neck and neck, and Van Dorn has to wait until the double right-hander to get that done, and they enter the S section. Then Van Dorn ahead of Ricciardo, ahead of Hamilton. Then you got the Sauber, and then Kevin Magnussen, who's made a really good start there actually. Only a couple of laps then. It looks like he's up to about P12 at least, so Magnussen doing a good job from P20. So I would say, to be fair, if Magnussen can get into the top 10 or the top 9 or 8 in the points paying positions, I would say that's a very successful recovery from P20. Obviously, the opening lap is a struggle to get through traffic, and also as much as it's a great overtaking opportunity, Sector 1 and Sector 3, Sector 2 here in Mexico is very difficult to make a pass. So, you know, kudos to Magnussen if he does do that in the end. But anyway, back to our fight then. We're catching Vettel there. You can see we're absolutely flying then in Sector 2 on lap 7 here, closing up on the German. He actually opens up the gap there on the left-hand side. We're going to try a little bit, but then Vettel moves across the brake zone, and to be fair, does some great defensive work there because he kind of opened up the space, invited me in, and then shut the door on me. So he keeps P1 for now as we go through. I'm thinking maybe I'll come in for the pit stop there. Vettel comes in, and at the last minute, I decide to join him there. I wasn't actually going to do it. I was maybe thinking, okay, we'll try whatever the opposite is of Vettel, but I thought, you know what, I'll just cover him off because we're so close to him, may as well stick with him there. Verstappen comes in as well, and that's going to be quite crucial because as we come in now for our pit stop, ultra soft tyres, we're held up here, and that's because Vettel and Verstappen, the timing that they've made their pit stops means we are held up. An absolute treat there, and probably more than I needed to be. I don't know what my pit crew was doing there, and so we are now behind Verstappen, and we're a good second or so behind him, and we come out in P16 just ahead ahead of Sergio Perez behind us there. So you can see on the minimap the amount of time I've lost to Verstappen. So I do not know what on earth my pit crew were doing there, waiting to release me for so long after we even let Verstappen through. But now Verstappen is through, and he'll be in a net P2 position there. Vettel and him will have to navigate some traffic though, and hopefully that can help us out here as we sling through there. But to say that, on the end of that sector 2, Vettel's looking very punchy here, wanting to get past the traffic. He's going to make an overtake on this Sauber car, but also the Williams down the inside. It's a fantastic inspired move there from the 4-time world champion, and he's down the inside of 2 cars, and Verstappen is still there looking like a mug behind both the Sauber and Williams cars. Now we've got the pit stops coming in for the next lap, and Fernando Alonso is in now for his set of ultra soft tyres, and let's see where he comes out now, because with traffic he could be looking pretty good there. There goes, I think, Vettel through there on the right, on the left hand side there in the flash of red, but I think Alonso does get in fact ahead of Max Verstappen and myself. So Alonso was in P4, and now he's ahead of us into effective net P2, as now it's 3 wide between Verstappen, Ericsson and Sorokin there. We go down the inside of the Russian, and we've got Ericsson going side by side with Verstappen. Can he try and make a double pass on these two like Vettel just did to the Williams and Sauber there? Those two still neck and neck, and Ericsson actually stays ahead of Verstappen. Lock up though for both cars, and Verstappen pinches me into the apex, so I tried to be opportunistic there. Didn't work out the first time. Second time round though, down the inside, little bit of contact, but not actually too much, and to be fair, Verstappen gave me the room mid-apex there, and we're through and up the order. Now we can chase after Ericsson and wasting no time at all, unlike just like Sebastian Vettel, and like Verstappen really, who's still making a mare of those overtakes. And here we go now, rapidly catching up to Ericsson now. Little bit of a squeeze, but on the left-hand side, around the outside, it'll be the opposite way around that Vettel made the move. Will go the long way and into the stadium section, up into what will be P9 eventually, as we go into the hairpin and go deep and squeeze him out. And so now we can try and chase after Lance Stroll and then Fernando Alonso. But an inspired strategy call there for Alonso to stay out there for the overcut, and he jumped 2 cars and gained a fair few bit on us in terms of lap time there as well. So, you know, he was in P4 quite some way behind Verstappen, I think, so he gained a ton of time there in that pit stop instance. Obviously didn't help that I got held up as well, but now we close up on Lance Stroll. 4th position, of course. There's not blue flags here, so he can fight me as much as he wants. So down the inside we go, have to make this stick on the Canadian, and now we're in clean air in P4. Alonso up there P3. I think my teammate was in the lead of the Grand Prix. He's now going to come in from the pit stop, so Magnussen going long in the first stint of this race, lap 10, as you would do if he's going to start last place. And so Vettel sets a purple lap time there, and across the line we go on P11, and we're going to be up into P3. So it's Vettel in first place, Alonso second place, myself third, and then Verstappen P4. It won't be for too long though, that running order, because Fernando Alonso now is looking very, very hungry to try and get that race lead, and the McLaren now is coming alive once again, as it has done the last couple episodes in this career mode season. Here goes Alonso to the right hand side of Vettel, and will Vettel have anything to fight for it? I don't think he does, and Alonso will make that P1 in the Grand Prix. Vettel does try a little bit of a fight back into turn 1, but it's not going to be anything, and so Alonso takes a commanding lead now. And how many times have we seen it now with Alonso in clean air? He just waltz off into the distance. So let's just see if that's going to be a case again. Let's see if we can get Sebastian Vettel. He's not quite as fast as I thought he would be in this stint, so he might be a bit vulnerable. So let's see what we can do in the next couple of laps in this stint. But speaking about Magnussen earlier, making that pit stop then, that late pit stop on lap 10, here he comes now through traffic down the inside of that Sauber of Ericsson actually. So he's making great progress. He's actually ahead of one of the Mercedes cars, and behind the other, I think that's Hamilton, Ricciardo, behind Magnussen. There's Bottas there. So Magnussen, I think, is already in the top 10. So he's done a fantastic job there at recovering positions already in this Grand Prix. Ahead of Bottas then is the other Finn of Raikkonen. Then you've got Hülkenberg, Sergio Perez in the Force India, then Max Verstappen in the Red Bull Racing car in P4. P3 is myself there, chasing after Vettel, and you can see I am closing up to Vettel quite a fair bit. I'm closer to him now than he is to Fernando Alonso, so we might have a chance to make an overtake soon enough as we move on later onto lap 15 now. DRS available, so we're within 1 second of the German, and we're closing up pretty rapidly down this motorway main straight here at Mexico there, but we just don't have enough straight line speed just to the end there in 8th gear to catch him up and really pressurize him into turn 1. Through turns 2 he'll know we're there because we gained even more in the brake zone, but he doesn't have to worry about it, because even with DRS now on this second mini straight and high ERS mode, standard fuel, because we don't have too much fuel to play with, we just can't get quite close enough to make a move yet. So we're going to have to try and see if we can make something happen, perhaps maybe in Sector 2, like we did a little bit earlier in the Grand Prix with some other cars there. But speaking of making overtakes now, we've got, I think, my teammate making a move now on Valtteri Bottas down the inside. So I think that should be him up into at least P8 or P7, I want to say. I can't quite count the other positions ahead of him there, but he's doing a fantastic job to be ahead of both Mercedes cars, to say they had such a good, strong qualifying here around Mexico, and he was in last place. But now we move on to lap 16, and again, we're closing through in Sector 2, but then through the last corner, you can see there, the last couple of corners, Vettel just has so much better traction there. I don't know if he's running high or hot lap mode in those corners, but he just pulls away like a rocket ship there onto lap 17, and so he pulls quite a considerable gap there by the time we get to lap 20, lock up on the front left tyre. And so I'm going to plan to come in actually on this lap there and try and get a 2-lap undercut, because my default pit stop was lap 22, so coming in 2 laps earlier. But to my surprise, Vettel also comes in also this early, so I don't know if he's covering me off. I don't know if he's going to come in for a set of super soft tyres maybe, because I know my car has the tyre wear to go on ultras, but I don't know if Ferrari does. So we come in then onto another set of ultra soft tyres, 2 laps earlier than I thought we would. Obviously, I'm confident we can take those long, but look at that, we have jumped Sebastian Vettel. Vettel's had a slow pit stop there. He's not even been jumped by another car. I don't know if his team just didn't release him. I think because Verstappen came in at the same time, as well as the Force India. So I think both the Red Bull and Force India stopped Ferrari releasing him, and so we jumped Vettel, and so that's a big amount of karma for us then. And so we're going to be up into a net P2 here, but Vettel on lap 22 is going to come back at us, to be fair, to try and fight us. So let's see if he's going to have the muster and the speed to do it. We've actually got DRS aiding us from the traffic we had just before they came in for their pit stop, so the DRS aid is helping us there keep ahead of Vettel into turn 1. He's got nothing to even attack with us in the first few turns, and so we are going to remain in P4. Ocon ahead of us, and I believe also my teammate Magnussen is currently leading the race, going long again on his second stint there. There he is through the S section, leading the way. Behind him, Fernando Alonso, and Alonso with about maybe I think 11-second gap to us, so Alonso's looking pretty damn comfortable for this race victory. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to try and win the Grand Prix, that I'm going to be crowned the world champion, and my very first world championship as well. You know, the first world championship means the most, I think, really, in your career, almost in a way. Maybe that, and also when you break records. So it'd be crazy to get a win, but I just don't think it's possible now. 11 seconds, it's far too much now. So we cross the line, we're up into P2 because Magnussen is in, Vettel up into P3, but Alonso, you can see that actually the gap's just over 7 seconds, but still 7 seconds to gain in about 12 laps, and the fact that I just don't have the pace, it looks like, versus the McLaren car, it's going to be a very, very tall order. As we move on to lap 29 now, 7 laps to go, we're catching a blue flag car of a Williams, I believe. So at the moment, Vettel's been keeping me very honest, so I'm hoping we can overtake this blue flag car very easily, and they can do me a solid and maybe hold up Vettel a little bit to try and give me a bit of breathing room in P2. So he breezed past there, I think it was Lance Stroll down the inside into the stadium section, and so that's no issues for us. But you can see there into the hairpin, the Williams does hold up Vettel, and Alter's going to back Vettel into Verstappen, and Alter that entire train of the Force India, and then Alter just trailing behind, so Alter maybe the Mercedes car. So Vettel is going to eventually get him in a straight line, and obviously the Williams car will pull over. It is now under blue flags, unlike before, that was actually genuine traffic. That's just a blue flag situation. But now look at this, Verstappen has the run on Vettel. Both of them have DRS, but Verstappen's had a much better run on that entire main straight. Down the inside he goes, gets the elbows out there, and Verstappen's going to hold up Vettel, and the two of them fighting this hard now is going to pay dividends for me for having some breathing room in P2. I mean, even more than breathing room, really. These guys are losing now a second to sector almost here, and they continue on because they're still neck and neck. Vettel to the inside there as they're into the first stadium section of the lap. Verstappen's still trying to hang it around the outside there, and he's doing a great job actually. I think he's got the traction maybe, and will squeeze out Vettel into the air section. They go in sector 2, and Verstappen will just about get that there. Vettel eventually does lift off, but now you can see a mega train is formed between Verstappen, Vettel, Perez, Raikkonen, and also my teammate Magnussen there, I think, is in the background. So Magnussen's really recovered quite well. And look at this again, Vettel tried a little bit of looking into the stadium section, the second one that is, on the the right-hand side of the circuit on the outside there. And so with that, as we cut back to our POV then, with those two fighting for nearly the entire lap now, as we go into lap 31, we have gained near 3 seconds on P3 there. They've got away, they held up each other so much there that now, instead of having only like 2/10 of breathing room, I now have 3.2, and so I can play around with that, I can relax a little bit. And so on lap 32 now, as the clouds do descend, so there might be some rain here. We've got a yellow flag situation on the top left of our screen, and as we go through the final corner, this safety car is called out, the full safety car. So this race just changed for us majorly there, because now we have a very good chance by the time the safety car comes in, it'll be nearly a 2-lap sprint, I think, and we will be right up the back of Fernando Alonso. So actually, just like that, the thought of winning the race we're going to win the championship at is now gone from not a 0 chance to, I think we have all the chance in the world, and it's due to this. A very odd incident there for Verstappen. I think he already had issues with his car because he was already slowing down as we go into his POV there. He's already slow right now, but whatever issues he was having just meant his car drifted into the last corner wall, and he's out in the Grand Prix in a very spectacular fashion like that with one wheel on his chassis, much like he had at the Singapore Grand Prix. And so here we go now on the safety car restart here at the end of this lap then. It's going to be one lapped car, Sorokin ahead of us there, but Alonso is just there. And now there's also a more added caveat here. It's raining now here at Mexico. So just like season 1, it's raining here, but all of us are remaining on dry tyres as we go on to the end of this Grand Prix. Sorokin will get out of the way on the right-hand side. So here we go, getting slipstream off the Russian to aid us as well. But it's so wet now into turn 1. Nice and easy on the brakes, and Alonso's locked up. The race leader's lost way more time than I thought he would do into the first few turns. And so now we're right up the gearbox of the Spaniard here as we go on towards the second last lap of the Grand Prix. And so now it's a case of just trying to play it nice and easy. In theory, if I just stick with him here, I think I should have the confidence in a straight line to overtake Alonso. So here we go now to the end of that lap, on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix here. You can see how wet it is now. The amount of rain droplets on the top of the chassis there, and the amount of rain sticking on track now. It's so damp, and conditions are so difficult. You saw Alonso made a mistake into the stadium section on the right-hand side. That's how we gained so much time. And so here we go, tiptoeing on the exit with the throttle, and onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. We've got the ERS going. We've got the fuel as well to burn down the main straight. This is for the lead of the Grand Prix, and to win the World Championship in some style by taking the victory here at the Mexican Grand Prix. We go side by side into turn 1. Alonso to the inside, tries his best, but we do manage to wrestle and dance the car through the first few turns, and we're up into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Alonso down to P2. Vettel will pressurize him in P3, and now it's a case of slow things down, nice and calm, breathe in, and just go through this entire lap now, literally on edge, because look how damp it is. If this wasn't the end of the Grand Prix, everyone would be coming in for a pit stop onto intermediate tyres, but sadly, it is the end of the Grand Prix, and so, unlike Season 1, we're also here with the entire rest of the grid and the AI just trundling around, trying to survive this lap now, and so this is going to be the most anticlimactic ending to a World Championship win, and a win full stop, actually, as we're going so slow now, but you never know, actually. At any moment, I could make a mistake. I could lock up very easily into any of these corners. Nice and easy into this next right-hander. This is where Alonso lost a lot of time on the previous lap there. You can see even I lose some time there as we lock up, and Alonso has a little sniff there, but here we go. The fanfares are out. The confetti's out there here through the stadium section. There's probably no better place, actually, to win the championship with this kind of view here, but it's a gloomy day in Mexico, but I don't care. None of the weather matters. The conditions don't matter, because we're going to come across the line to win the Mexican Grand Prix and also win our very first World Championship in F1 2018 career mode.
You've been superb all season and you've got your reward. You are the Drivers' World Champion. Congratulations.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. Great work from the Haas team. They take a famous win here today. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So there we have it. We have won our very first World Drivers' Championship, and in some style, by winning the Mexican Grand Prix. All hope looked lost after, you know, the initial kind of stint, really. And then the safety car came out, blessing in disguise, and what a dramatic ending with the rain as well. You know, dry tyres on a wet track as well. No better way to end. That was really a YouTuber's end to a championship fight there, really. Dry tyres on a wet track to get the victory there as well, with an Alonso lock-up there. And I'm just so happy we wrapped it up in that kind of way. I was really worried we weren't going to win the race, because I really wanted to try and win it, because it just means so much more now to get the title in this kind of way. So I hope you guys enjoy that as well, and be sure to smash the like button. Let's go through then to the final interview then here in Mexico.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. Do you think that your close rivalry has helped you out this season?
Obviously, it's been a very entertaining rivalry with Sebastian Vettel. I'm all about, you know, putting on a good show for the fans there, so I'm going to go with the left-hand side option. It's been a good show for both me and Vettel.
You took the top points today. Was it a comfortable win?
Like I said, you know, the entire team and the car has been amazing, so I'm going to compliment the entire car and team on the right-hand side there by saying everything was simply just fantastic, really.
You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Gained a lot of positions, and all thanks to how nimble the car was. Of course, you know, one of the best chassis on the grid for over the course of the season. So I gotta compliment that, really, to be honest.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
And now with the final question, going to be a bit showy, a bit egotistical, and say unless there's an immovable object, I'm not going to be stopped really anytime soon.
Appreciate your time.
And so that is going to round out the interview then for the Mexican Grand Prix. And we go to the end of the episode then, and we're going to get handed our Drivers' World Title Trophy. Just like we did with the Constructors last episode, there it is, the official graphic to say we are a Drivers' World Championship. Of course, our very first championship here in the second season of F1 2018 career. It's been a 2-year project here, with Haas taking them from the top of the midfield to the top here. And for us, you know, from the very start of the career mode, really struggling against Magnussen, and slowly but surely getting comfortable, and also, to be fair, like I said, getting a little bit lucky with the reliability here and there. But I've turned into a very consistent driver. I was very inconsistent in season 1, I think. In season 2, the consistency has just been there for me, and I've got on top of the car, really. And so it's been a real treat this season. And yeah, I mean, thanks to the team, and also thanks to you guys for the support on this series so far. Obviously, it's not over yet. We still have 2 races to go, and even though it's a dead championship now, I'll still be fighting hard for as best a position as I can get, obviously. And then it's all about looking into season 3. But for now, we can relax a little bit and enjoy the championship. But speaking about fighting as hard as we can, as we go through looking at the season results, you can see there 5 wins now for us, 2 on the trot, which is the first time I've had 2 wins in a row. So let's try and see if we can seal out this season with maybe 3 or 4 wins in a row. That'd be quite special as well. It's a bit of a record there for us in the championship. But we're going to go through to the end, and we're going to spend some remaining R&D points then on a minor front downforce upgrade. That's all I think we can really afford, to be honest here. And so going into the Brazilian Grand Prix, we'll have the major engine upgrade on the ERS, and also the minor front downforce. And then for Abu Dhabi, we'll have the ultimate brakes update on the chassis front there. So we're going to really end out the season, hopefully strong, and then take that positive attitude into season 3. But guys, if you have enjoyed this episode and this season for winning the Drivers' World Championship, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, you can subscribe for weekly Formula content. I've been over. I hope you enjoyed today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.